Happy holidays, everyone, and welcome to the big show. I am your host, Jerk, and yes, crisis averted. The project for this little program was salvaged, so we didn't have to start all over from the beginning. But in taking a brief walk to contemplate what that might have meant, I thought, new beginnings aren't always bad. Sometimes it's good to start anew. Take the time and reevaluate what you thought you knew and the experiences from the time past, and let that guide you to a more modern opinion. And that is going to get us to today's guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming out the Tech Tree Tier 8 Russian heavy cruiser. Give it up for Riga. That's right, it's Riga time. And while I had another interview with this ship all set up, this match is frankly pretty darn good. And as such, I scrapped the last one, put this one in, and after a morning of not being able to get the software to load, well, I called the IT department, and after they had us vent the plasma conduits and realign our dark lithium crystals to create a reverse tachyon field, well, here we are. Whenever that is. It's hard to imagine, but the last time we had Riga on the big show was just about a year ago. You're going to want to watch this shot. And that was probably around the last time you even saw a heavy cruiser in Tier 7 or higher. They aren't exactly the most popular class, and Ouija hasn't done anything too much to change that, what with them only adding 5 total heavy cruisers across every single tier in the last 12 months. Riga is the culmination of the last heavy cruiser line added to the game, and before we get too far into its stats, let's go ahead and put the commander and modules on the big screen, and we have Ivan B. Delightful, along with Stormin Norman Scott and Mr. Klinikov. All these guys know how to do is make your shells accurate and penetrate when they do, as this Weimar is just about to find out. And just like that, we've got the first ship sunk. But the question is, how did we even manage to do this? It is a well-known fact that Riga is bad. Well, while the graphics department is away for the holidays, I do have access to my individual stats here, and I can tell you that my stats in Riga are really within a stone's throw of my Baltimore stats in every regard, which is to say, for me, those two ships fit right in the middle of average XP earned per battle of all the Tier 7 heavy cruisers as far as the tech trees go. And that's above Hipper, but to my surprise, lower than Charles Martel, which even more to my surprise is below Amalfi, but I'm sure some of this can be attributed to where I was in my Wowzels career when I got all of them. Unfortunately, there's no way to do a filter by the last 6 months. Jokes aside, you make Riga work the same way you make every other ship work. You put it in a position to use what it's great at. And for those of you new to these parts, if you're wondering what Riga is great at, that would be its AP. It is armed with 220mm guns that have improved penetration angles, not quite as good as the American penetration angles, but we pretty much get it there by using Von Essen as inspiration. And while the US has super heavy AP, making it even more lethal at range, Riga has pure stellinium shells that mean crazy penetration in mid to close range. Of course, the downside of having these high-velocity shells is that you can find yourself getting quite a bit of overpins, combined with the fact that in spite of Stalingrad having much larger 305mm shells and only needing 34mm of armor to arm the fuse, Riga, with its 220mm guns, needs to hit 38mm of armor to arm its shells? Ho, 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 it's magic. So if all of this has left you scratching your head, let me boil it down to something simple. High skill floor, decently high skill ceiling. At the end of the day, it isn't the most maneuverable of ships. It has a pretty long reload. It does have sonar and pretty decent AA, as well as long-range radar, though the short Russian style. You've got a 25mm bow, which every battleship can overmatch, though you do have a nice icebreaker and decent belt armor as well, and every single one of these things, with the exception of maybe the sonar, you are going to see me highlight in this very game. As mentioned, The first and foremost thing you are looking to do is position yourself to create crossfires. When we're moving to the flank here, we didn't shoot until we knew where everything was that was available, and only when we saw that Weimar broadside did we fire. After a couple salvos, this heavy cruiser managed to do the very thing you hear battleship players bemoan that they're unable to do, and that was sink an HE spammer. Well, Francis, I know you think your battleship should be immune to HE, all torpedoes should bounce or ricochet, and that every salvo you fire should be a dev strike regardless of what you're shooting, but you see, this is a game. And in this game, we have a variety of classes that do things better than others. And heavy cruisers, well, they're great at smashing light cruisers. They're good at smashing destroyers, and they're pretty good at hitting battleships. But you can't have everything be good. So heavy cruisers, they have that higher skill floor, which probably explains why you don't see too many out there, and instead hear the most prominent class complain about how unbalanced everything is. And they're right. It is unbalanced. But that's because of them. That is because when you only have rocks and scissors in a match, rocks always win. So it might be time to take a good hard look at paper. Who am I kidding? Nerf Shima Torps. Nerf damage over time. Buff will to rebuild. Meanwhile, back from Rantville, I am switching back and forth from HE on this Azuma. As I mentioned, the HE on Riga is nothing to write home about. It does allegedly have a 25% chance for fire, but I'll be honest, it usually feels a lot closer to about 2.5%. Trying to HE spam in Riga is a fool's errand. So every time I think the Azuma might be giving me enough angle to pin with AP, I switch. And inevitably, the Azuma just keeps on backing up. I'm not saying there's never a time to reverse, but this is a player who was caught way out of position. Nonetheless, we have to get rid of them before we can close out, so we've got the HE loaded. We've got them pretty low, and I don't believe it's this salvo, no, but I do believe this one. Check out the shells from the back turret right on top of each other, and I think those are the three that actually hits this Azuma and nets us. Oh, no, wait, it's not that salvo. It's this salvo. Check out this salvo, right? Oh, yeah, that's more like it. This is going to be the salvo that nets us our third ship sunk. And now we get to deal with a carrier, a battleship, a light cruiser, and a destroyer. Now, their destroyer, which I think is a Kagero, hadn't been spotted in a while, so that's why my sonar was on. I just wanted to be safer than sorry. Oh, look, a broadside Ochakov. You know that's going to be overpins, right? No, it's a Citadel, the only shell that connects somehow. Anyway, positioning here. Yes, I've got my sonar on to detect any torpedoes that could be coming from the Kagero, who is having themselves a game, sinking our team left and right. And I'm trying to use the island in front of me to be able to block the HE spam from the Ochakov while I try to deal with this Iowa. As we know, Iowa 406mm guns, and we just managed to dodge those. And this is kind of the trick with Riga as well. Yes, it has that weak upper bow, but we do have good side plating armor. So that's why I'm trying to bounce the Iowa shells off the side when I can, as I try to close the distance with this island in front of me. I am taking a shot right there because Riga can, in fact, Citadel, Iowa. I think I'm a little too far away right now to really get the pin through there. As you see, we caught a shell right there on our bow, and we'll go ahead and put that out and put on a heel. But I've essentially got this island able to block the Ochakov from being able to shoot me now, which is going to allow me to bow in on this Iowa who is doing the same thing to me. And at this point, really what I'm relying on is RNG. This Iowa will have to have the perfect shot to be able to sink me. Yeah, it's possible. Ooh, that helps. But it's unlikely. You know, it's very unlikely that a battleship is going to get that perfect shot where all the shells go together. So that's why I'm kind of angled like this to bounce some off the side like we did there. We did catch the one in the bow. But I'm now focusing their guns because that is one thing that I love to do in Riga. Smash guns. So that's what I'm going to focus on. And no, I see the Ochkov has positioned themselves to keep spamming me. And I'm figuring we're going to break a gun here, but no. Not sure where some of those shells went, but we do know why we did get an overpin, and that's because the 32mm bow on Iowa is not thick enough to arm the AP in front. It's a bit more reliable right there, but I think we really need to get a Citadel to be able to sink this Iowa, and you know if they're weak, there's a 100% chance, right? There you go, Pitadel. I'm not saying it's a thing, but it's a thing, right? Now, if you look at my RPF, we've got the Kagero right over my shoulder. But I'm going to try and close the distance here with the Ochkov so they cannot continue to spam me with HE still. Kudos to this Ochkov. I mean, they are positioning pretty well. I guess they're probably going out after the most dangerous ship. I think I'm the only one with radar here. I don't think this is, because I'm recognized, because let's be real, most people don't recognize me in this game. Anyway, I'm coming around this corner, and I've got intentions to hit my radar to get the Kagero, but I believe our carrier must have them spotted. Already had the HE loaded. Look at how strong this HE is against a destroyer, and yeah. Two shells, hardly any damage. However, I'm going to get another shot off here, and this should be Kraken 450, right? Oh my lord, 3 shells hit for 1,500 damage. Okay, one more salvo, and no. Alright, you know what? I don't mind getting that ship yoinked because we have 2 more over here. We have the Pobeda, though I think they've probably hightailed it at this point, and we have the aforementioned Ochkov, a dreaded HE spammer. Once again, a ship that no battleship can possibly sink, but relax, children. This is no regular battleship. This is Riga. Bow in. Ochkov, we are not going to be able to overmatch. We would have to switch to HE. However, broadside, we will probably overpin at this range, so we kind of need to be aware of that. We also know Ochkov, they've got torpedoes, so this is why I'm trying to turn out this way and get all my guns on them. We're going to need the Ochkov to turn. We do not want them flat broadside. We want to have a little extra thickness to get some shells to arm in them, so that looks like a good one there. And I believe, yeah, was that our secondary that took out their rudder? I think it may have been. Not quite the shot that we were looking for, but let's take this one, and I think this looks very good. And oh baby, Kraken 450 in the Riga. That's how it's done. So let's take a little inventory of what we've got here. 1 ship spotted, 8 citadels, 151 shell hits, 5 ships sunk, 5 incapacitations, 1 flag cap, 3 fires, 10 secondary hits, 11 plane shot down, 2 defends. We've got the high caliber, the Kraken, and the first blood. You know what? Not too shabby for a bad ship. And while I could make it so we all just sit here and wait for this game to end because we know where their carrier is at the furthest, remotest location, you know, because they have a chance to save this. Let's just go ahead and skip to the end and see the scoreboard. 3,535 base XP for a very good game, and I think a game that is textbook Riga, and really textbook wowzles. Play where you spawn, position for success, namaste. And that's going to wrap it up for this one. If you're ready for more Russian heavy cruisers, then give this video a like. If you're ready for a Pan-Asian line of light HE spammers, give the video a dislike. Questions, comments, leave them down below. And if you want to be here for whoever we have on next, think about hitting subscribe, and boy do we have a lot of them lined up. Thanks for watching, folks. I will get back out there for another, and we will talk then.